This is Audible.
Penguin Random House Audio presents Dare to Lead. Brave work, tough conversations, whole hearts. This is the author, Brené Brown. A note from me. People often ask me if I still get nervous when I speak in public. The answer is yes. I'm always nervous. Experience keeps me from being scared, but I'm still nervous. First, people are offering me their most precious gift, their time. Time is, hands down, our most coveted, unrenewable resource. If being on the receiving end of one of life's most valuable gifts fails to leave you with a lump in your throat or butterflies in your stomach, then you're not paying attention. Second, speaking is vulnerable. I don't memorize my lines or have a set shtick that I do verbatim. Effective speaking is about the unpredictable and uncontrollable art of connection. Even though it's just me on stage and possibly 10,000 people sitting in folding chairs in a convention center, I try to look into as many pairs of eyes as I can. So yes, I'm always nervous. I have a couple of tricks that I've developed over the past several years that help me stay centered. Even though it makes event production teams crazy, I always ask for the house lights to be at 50%. When they're at 100%, you can't see the audience at all, and I don't like talking into the void. I need to see enough faces to know if we're in sync. Are the words and images pulling us together or pushing us apart? Are they recognizing their experiences in my stories? People make very specific faces when they're hearing something that rings true for them. They nod and smile and sometimes cover their faces with their hands. When it's not landing, I get the side tilt and less laughter. I have another trick I use when anxious event organizers try encouraging me to up my game by describing the status of the audience members. An organizer might say, "Hey, Brené, just so you know, the audience tonight includes top military brass." They'll mention the high-level corporate leaders, elite members of this or that special supergroup, the top glass ceiling breakers in the world, or my favorite, "These actually are rocket scientists, Brené. They'll probably hate what you're saying, so stick to the data." This strategy is often employed when the audience seems somewhat resistant because they don't know why I'm there. Or, worst case scenario, they don't know why they have been forced to be there with me. In these cases, my strategy is a take on the classic picture the audience naked trick. Rather than picturing naked people sitting in auditorium chairs, which just doesn't work for me, I picture people without the armor of their titles, positions, power, or influence. When I spot the woman in the audience who has her lips pursed and her arms tightly folded across her chest, I picture what she looked like in the 3rd grade. If I'm hooked by the guy who keeps shaking his head and making comments like, "Winners aren't weak at work," I try to picture him holding a child or sitting with his therapist. Or honestly, sitting with the therapist I think he should see. Before I go on stage, I whisper the word people 3 or 4 times to myself. People, 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 people. This strategy was born out of desperation a decade ago, back in 2008, when I gave what I consider my first talk to a corporate leadership audience. I had lectured at grand rounds in hospitals and done many behavioral health talks. But the difference between those experiences and even just standing in that green room was palpable. I was trying to find a place to set up camp in a room with 20 other speakers, each of us waiting to be called to do our TED-style 20-minute talk at this day-long event, when that lonely feeling of not belonging and being out of place started washing over me. I first checked if it was a gender thing because to date, I'm often still the only female speaker backstage. But that wasn't it. It wasn't homesickness because I was 30 minutes from my house in Houston. When I heard the event organizers talking to the audience, I pulled back a small section of the heavy velvet curtains that separated the green room from the auditorium and peeked out. It was like a Brooks Brothers convention. Rows of mostly men in white shirts and very dark suits. I shut the curtain and started to